this on YouTube. We're going to talk all about Monsterpalooza here, so we're going to jump into our intro and go for it. So, welcome to Parks and Cons, companion podcast, the parksandcons.com website and YouTube channel. It says cons, theme parks, collect data, fun stuff. It is June 4th, 2022. I'm your host, Sean. I'm here with Carmel.
Hi there.
Parks and Cons, on the Spot podcast, taking part of the expo conventions and themed entertainment events around. Today we're recording at the Pasadena Convention Center. So as we're recording this, normally we try to record earlier, but Friday was really busy, and we'll get to that in a second. But it was just more crowded, I think, than we've seen Monsterpalooza ever on a Friday. And so as it was, Friday didn't quite work out, and then Saturday starts and it's all swirling busy. And so here we are. So we're going to kind of go through it all right here, and there's been a lot of experiences, so we're going to kind of be as brief as we can as we go through them, but a lot of things have happened at that time. So Monsterpalooza, this is its returning show, the first big Monsterpalooza back here at the Pasadena Convention Center since 2019. So it's one of those ones that we've waited 3 years for, so it's been quite a journey to get back here, and it seems like everybody else was in the same boat, because Friday was way more crowded than we've seen in the past. We got here around an hour early. Not that that's super early, but it was like the line was circling the entire building, and mixed in with that was Tim Curry's photo op sign, and there was some confusion with that with security and staff of kind of where Tim Curry's photo op was lining up and where the people to get their wristbands was lining up. But needless to say, it was really crazy crowded there, and so it started very, very busy. And we should note off the top too, we always talk about like when we have are giving things free or press pass stuff. We don't have press for Monsterpalooza. We've never had press for Monsterpalooza. They've never offered it in the past. So with all that said, it's a very different kind of situation in terms of just the crowds and things like that. So with that being said, very crowded time in for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was funny as we arrived. We of course went around to the front of the convention center, and then we're like, okay, where's the end of the line? And you and our friend Jennifer were walking ahead, and I was having trouble keeping up because you both were just like bolting to get to the back of the line, and went all the way to the back of the convention center, went all the way in between the convention center and the I think it's a Sheraton. Yeah, it's a Sheraton, and then around. So we definitely would have been smarter to have gone the other direction around the convention center, but we took a nice little tour around the convention center. We will be talking about the museum in a second, so we definitely enjoyed that. So there was that question, but we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, it was tough. It was a long line, and of course we knew it was cool because they were going around and they were giving everybody the wristbands ahead of time, so we knew that once the doors opened it would be pretty quick to get in. So it is nice that they do that so that everybody's just kind of set and ready to go once the doors open, and so that was the case.
Yeah, and so in taking on the floor and looking at just how busy the lines were and all of those types of things, we knew like we were going to have to really get into the museum right away. So to go to that question, that was our first stop, and actually we went again on Saturday here too, which we'll talk about that because we found that in general the museum is not always ready right away on Friday, or not even ready at the close on Friday. So we do have a full video up on our YouTube channel that you can check out with the museum. It's about 10 minutes long, and we go into all of it, and it was a blast, and it's awesome. But even on Saturday, there was a few more things added into it. And so making our way onto the floor, though, immediately was like, wow, this is, again, super crowded. And it was like middle of Saturday type crowds on a Friday night. So we got into line immediately for the museum, made our way in there.
And by the way, the hours for Friday are 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then Saturday and Sunday it's 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it's a late night, but definitely fun and kind of a cool. I don't know. It definitely doesn't count as a preview night because it's a full night, but it kind of has that preview feel because it does have the different hours of the other days.
Yeah, I love that they have such late hours on Friday because you're getting that full 5 hours, and you need it. And in the past, when people have kind of tapped out, normally it seems around like 9-ish. This time around, people seem to be tapping out more like 10:30, kind of as we got to the end there. But in terms of the museum, though, in adding to the video to the video that we have, just a couple pieces. One, the Poltergeist room scene was really awesome, but some figures were left out in it when we went through on Friday, so we got to see that Saturday. But that was really great. In fact, I believe today's the 40th anniversary of Poltergeist, so it was a real fit. They didn't have that noted anywhere in the exhibit, but that was something I saw. Like, oh, that's a really cool kind of tie-in to this week, and that's the 40th anniversary there. Some great Star Wars stuff. The full-size Rancor head that I don't know if it's the exact one we saw at the Mandalorian experience last weekend or very similar one in there. And also was the fifth brother from Obi-Wan, his costume in there. And again, I don't know if that was a replica. There was no signage really saying, but also interesting, like a giant Black Panther head from the Marvel Universe. You had Black Manta from the Aquaman movie, the full costume there. You had Wonder Woman's kind of armor in there. A great bride and Frankenstein's monster, like full-size figures, probably 6.5 feet tall, something like that, standing there. So some really cool stuff. Obviously highly visual, so can't really do justice in words. So whether you're listening to our audio version or live or on the video later, definitely check that out on the YouTube channel because there's a lot of cool stuff to see there.
Yeah, it's really cool, and we did go there straight as soon as we got in. That was our first stop and stuff, so our wait wasn't too long. And then again today when we went this morning with friends, we went straight there, and again it wasn't too long. So I'm not sure, like at the height of things, how long the line was.
It got very long. It was running down the entirety of the exhibit hall floor, so yeah.
So in the future, or if you're coming back tomorrow, I would suggest making it the first stop because the line can get long. But it's really cool stuff to take a look at and stuff and take time. And once you're in there, there's no like rush to go through, and you don't have to go in a particular order. You can kind of wander back and forth in there. So definitely make your first stop and take your time in there and really take it all in because there's really cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
Even there's a Yoda thing too. Did you mention
Oh
that?
yeah. Star Wars Icon, which we posted a little bit of video from them, but they have a full-on, like they replicated every piece of the way. And they worked with some preservation for some of Lucasfilm and stuff, but they had puppeteers there and everything for Yoda puppet, and it was like straight out of Empire Strikes Back. I mean, it looked incredible, and the movements they were using remote control and puppetry, like hand puppet at the same time, like so it was like a team effort to do the walking and things like that. And so we got some video of that in the museum one as well, and in a separate social media stuff. So but I would say, so getting the museum video, so first I tried to do a live in there, and it started and it stopped and it started and it stopped, and like that went like 5 times. Like, okay, this is not happening, so I had to cut off the live, do the video the other way. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to upload the video. Signal was so bad, I mean, I went blocks and blocks. I walked like for 80 minutes about in circles around all of the Pasadena, Paseo, and everything, and I was thankful for the Monsterpalooza program. I just wanted to plug that real quick. So we've seen a lot of conventions do away with programs, and I was really hoping that Monsterpalooza, because it is, this is the monster culture. For me, I know Starlog was the biggest thing, but whether it was Fangoria or anything else, like people grew up with the magazines. I thought, if there's a convention out there that's not going to do away with the physical program, it's going to be Monsterpalooza. And sure enough, they delivered with a beautiful program once again. So I took it with me because I'm like, well, I'm going to read this as I'm, wandering around trying to get this video to upload. Unfortunately, the signal was so bad, and I was having to like use it like a tricorder and watch every step I take to do it. But did want to just plug that they came back and delivered with that, and I thought that was really super cool of them to have it, because and it's very understandable why a lot of conventions are moving away from them, because it's awesome to be able to update things in real time on an app or things like that. But I know for myself, being a old-time convention goer, I like having the physical program, and Monster always does such a great job, and it's fun to look back at, like, 5 years ago, who were the guests and things like that. And so that's all, but that's been kind of a theme of the weekend too, is the signal issues. There's been a lot of them. We weren't even sure if this was going to go through, and we're like, well, if we go to the back of the convention center and people are clearing out because the show ended at 6 p.m., maybe we can actually get this online. And so thankfully it does seem to be making its way to YouTube as we speak.
Yeah, I don't know if it's an AT&T thing or what, but
just the last couple weeks.
Yeah, well, the big shows, Celebration, and here there are a lot of people doing stuff online, and so I don't know if I don't think that it's more people doing that than there was in 2019, but it seems that the signal issues have gotten more substantial. So it has become a thing where we're kind of gun shy of saying, okay, we're going to do something live, and then try, and then it doesn't go through. So it's kind of a challenge and stuff, and I don't know that that's going to change at all as things stay busy. But yeah, now that people have cleared out and the show's over, we have signal, so yeah, we're able to do this live.
Yeah, and that whole it was about a 3-hour process of like getting into the museum, getting the video, getting it on YouTube, and I thought this is all of the not fun side of Perks and Cons stuff of like I want to be on the floor shopping and instead of trying to get video to upload and stuff. But in the end, it got up there, and I was glad we've been getting a bunch of video up there, and so that's been a fun thing to be able to share with people. Grimwood Hollow just jumped into the chat. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for all your wonderful work that we see every year. Okay, so we did want to talk about real quick a couple of things picked up to the floor.
Well, really quick, there's a comment that their family's trying to. Yeah, we've had AT&T for I think our entire adult lives. Even when it was AT&T, it was something else and stuff. And so I'm really hesitant to change at this point. But yeah, I don't know. Well, hopefully the signal gets better as we do more things. But anyways, enough about the signal.
Yeah. So in coming back to the floor, and so this kind of ties back to Star Wars Celebration real quick last week, is the end of Celebration. If you watched any of our coverage of that, we talked a lot about just kind of generally a little bit of disappointment with how expensive things were there in terms of the vintage items and things like that. And we had sold at the swap meet there and had this money, and it's like, well, we can convert this money from kind of random, not throwaway stuff, but just stuff that honestly there was nothing we sold at that show that I cared about. It was all like, yep, cool, sell it, and convert is something cool. Well, it didn't work out at Celebration, so it was like, well, let's put the money away. Let's not be, let's be disciplined about this and not overpay, and see if anything pops up at another show this summer. And so sure enough, we go into Monsterpalooza, and then as make my way back to the floor, and they have a Planet of the Apes set, which for our online people there, they can see a visual of it. I don't have the physical one with me because that was from yesterday, but it's a 1967 Planet of the Apes. They call it a mini play set, but it's basically about 1.5-inch size figures, PVC static figures that come in this little window box. And so for our audio people, you can see we posted online and stuff, but it was to me incredible. Like that's like, this was one of those things of like, oh my gosh. And so it was $150, which is a lot. And honestly, I don't think I've ever spent that much like on one toy that wasn't like a gift. Like I bought a blue Snaggletooth as a gift card thing many years ago. I mean, I may be wrong, but that is not like, that's not a common thing. Like I'm very much like a $20 type person.
Yeah, definitely. But it felt like, we had this, it was kind of found money because it was stuff that you had just kind of been collecting and storing, actually since 2020 when we were supposed to go to Celebration back then. And so it just made total sense to me to like, let's just set this aside. You need to get something good with it, whether it's a vintage Star Wars at some other location or if it's something else. Let's wait and see what that is. And so I had it in my wallet and just set it aside and just left it there for this whole week because it's been a week now that we did that, but it felt like a while because it's just cash sitting in my wallet. But yeah, once we're kind of talking about it, you seem very like into it, like pretty quickly and stuff, and I was like, okay, I think this might be the thing that you buy with that money.
Well, and this exhibitor, it caught my eye because like it was not an exhibitor we've ever seen anywhere before, and I heard him, somebody else was looking at buying it, and he's like, do you have a card? Do you have social media? And the guy's like, I don't have a store. This is my own collection that I'm selling some things. And what had caught my eye, another item I ended up acquiring there, is a 74 Milton Bradley Planet of the Apes board game, which is complete and even has the little sponge piece. If you're familiar with the game, it's hard to find the little sponge piece, and it had everything, and that was $45. So that's what caught my attention. But then someone else talking about this playset thing, I'm like, it was kind of up high, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, this guy's gonna buy it. And again, it's not an instinct to buy something of that level, but all of a sudden it's like, wait, they're both there, and we have from the show last week, the board game, the goal is to become the last survivor. So you are like, your piece is like a little human if you've seen the original Planet of the Apes. So you're like Taylor running around and trying to avoid being caught by the apes. But anyway, I ended up buying both things, and the guy was super nice. You could tell he was a collector, like he was a hardcore collector, and he said he didn't want to sell the things, but his girlfriend said he had to get rid of some stuff, and so that's what happened. He's got rid of it, and it almost felt bad buying it because he didn't seem happy to sell it. Like it was kind of like, I think maybe he hoped it just kind of sat there and left. But I told him, and they said, well, I just wanted to go to a good home of somebody that loves apes, and I'm like, I love Planet of the Apes so much. Like for those that don't know, I mean, for me, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Planet of the Apes, Star Trek, they're all like on their own tier in terms of my like love. They're all, I couldn't, it's very difficult to choose between them. So ape stuff, I go ape over, like, to as silly as it sounds. And so I was very happy to get both of those. And so
Now, did you say that you weren't aware that this place had existed?
I did
prior
not
to
know.
that?
No, it's made by Multiple Toy Makers is the name of the company, which I don't know if that's an actual. I need to do more research on what it is. All I know is there weren't any listed on eBay, and there weren't any that sold in the last 90 days, and it was a very rare situation. So I was like, okay, I need to get this thing. So that was cool. The other thing found, and this wasn't like rare, but its history is rare, and it's something I've seen before, and Haunted Mansion fans probably know about this, or maybe more familiar with it than even I am. But the ice cream sundae, we'll hold it up for our people that are watching the video version, but this is a print. So the history of this, in 1969, Disneyland Carnation did like an ice cream push for Haunted Mansion being such a big deal. And so it was an orange advertisement that had the hitchhiking ghost in front of Haunted Mansion, and it says, Carnation, then it's I Scream, like screaming out loud, like horror type thing, with Sunday, inspired by Disneyland's Haunted Mansion, now open to ... humans. And when you got the sundae, there was an orange spoon that came with it. And so, I mean, that has to be like an incredible collectible to have this old spoon. So there's a company called Monsters Are Good, which I was not familiar with, but they had a booth with a bunch of great t-shirts and prints, all of their own original stuff. But then they basically did a repro of this print, and it was just $10 for this thing. And I was like, that's amazing, because I've always known, like, I'm never going to own this original thing, but I've always wondered, like, are there any repros out there? And I've seen people sell like repro posters of it for like $300 here and there. But to be able to get like an 11 by 17 for $10, I was like super pleased. So I was like, these are all like really amazing like things that I was super excited. And then the last thing in terms of like buying an item, and again it comes back to the Planet of the Apes, is the new Mego gorilla, or a gorilla soldier from Planet of the Apes, and they have those for $18. And this has been kind of a hard to find one, and you can get it on eBay or whatever, but I've kind of wanted to buy it in person. I'm more of that type of person than an online buyer, and they have that. So everything I bought here, I loved probably more than anything I bought at Celebration, which is weird because Celebration is such a big collecting show to me traditionally, but these were all things that were like really like they were all like huge highlights. So the floor was like a big success for me. I felt like just so many booths in general were really interesting. So many incredible handmade items, so many incredible, busts and masks and just, cutesy things and prints. And I mean, it just went on and on and on and on all through Friday night. But it was like, that's awesome, that's awesome. The t-shirts, I am a big t-shirt buyer, but I didn't buy any t-shirts because I was like so consumed by these things. And I'm like, okay, we've spent way too much money as it is. I'm not going to buy anything else there. But, I think the floor, to me, this is the best Monsterpalooza floor to me that we've seen there. And today we were with our friends Ted and Rochelle here, and they both thought the floor was really great. I mean, they had said like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on here too. So I didn't ask them at the end like for a letter grade of it, but I know several times they remarked different things about the floor and seemed to like it. You haven't found anything that you wanted to buy there. That's a different story. So maybe you don't think it's a great floor.
Well, it is a great floor, but if you followed along with us, and you know that I just don't buy that much stuff in general. I'm more like practical about things. And I wish you were here too, Grimwood Halls. It's fun and stuff, and lots of monsters and great cosplay, which we'll talk about also in a bit. But yeah, as far as the floor, I just I don't know. There's lots of stuff I like, but I have so many purses already. I have so many like headbands and all these things that I don't use that often that end up just sitting there and stuff, and so I haven't been inclined to actually buy anything. So I'm not saying I won't, but so far I haven't seen anything that was like a must, because it was there's lots of amazing cool stuff. It's just not anything that I've actually like opened my wallet for yet. So,
Yeah.
but I might.
Well, and in that vein, in terms of amazing stuff on the floor, 'cause a big part of Monsterpalooza is the talent that comes to sign. I mean, whether it be for photo ops or autographs, lots of posters being signed, and it has been packed. And last night it was packed with that. I know we've definitely seen a bump at the shows that we cover in terms of autograph seeking, which I guess isn't surprising because I'm part of this bump of like, I spent the pandemic thinking, oh my gosh, I never got, fill in the blanks autograph. And then now that we've been back out where they're at these things, and we're like, okay, we better get it because who knows if we're ever going to have this opportunity again. So the autograph lines have been huge. Doug Bradley was somebody that I really had considered, Hellraiser, and he had a huge line immediately, and I have not seen that line diminish at any point. Like, it seems like it's only gotten longer as the weekend has gone on here, and so, we'll see it like close of Sunday. Maybe he'll be somebody a little bit easier to get there. Tim Curry's an interesting situation because he is by far the most popular of the guests here this weekend, and he is not somebody that's around many public appearances at all. And so he has a very unique situation, though, for people that may have come out. I know there may have been a little confusion. I mean, I think it was clear. It was very clear on the website and stuff. But I do know I heard people like kind of not sure how that worked. But basically, no in-person signing of autographs. So it said that you could buy autographs that were pre-signed that Tim Curry had done, or you could bring items for Tim Curry to like take and sign. I'm not sure how that all worked. I never saw.
I think it said that they were going to like ship the items back
okay,
or
there
something
you go.
like that.
I've not seen like the pre-signed. I was kind of curious about that, but he is doing photo ops in person. And in fact, actually this morning, you went to go get us set up to get to a restaurant, and I was waiting with Ted Rochelle, and he came and he was there in his wheelchair. He's of very poor health now. I mean, the last decade's been really tough for him, and it's kind of incredible that he's here. I wish I got like a picture, video of anything. I was just kind of, my jaw drops. It's like, that's Tim Curry. And he went and he raised his hand and put his thumb up. And I'm like getting like almost teary-eyed, but like everybody went nuts. Everybody went nuts. Everybody was cheering for him. I'm like, oh, that's really cool that he's here. So even though it's not like, I'm not a photo op guy, so I wouldn't be part of that. I'm an autograph guy. But I thought, how cool, like, that he's doing this and then he's able to connect with his fans and everybody giving him all this love and stuff. So he's not part of any panels. He really is kind of very secluded in all of this, but he is here and he brought a lot of fans out. I mean, I really think he's the biggest guest. I think he's the biggest attraction they've ever had here in terms of a guest. It just feels like everybody here is really buzzing about Tim Curry being here. But again, a lot of other great, I mean, a big part of the signing and the talent this weekend is the Screamcast. I mean, and they were, so last night, that was kind of how we ended our night, like right at the buzzer. It's like 10:58. I got in line. The show closes at 11 for Lee Waddell, which Lee Waddell was a stunt man. He worked on Spider-Man, Batman Returns, Blade, a bunch of different things, did a lot of stunt rigging, things like that. But he also was Ghostface in the original Scream. He was the ghost face that like first appears and chases down Drew Barrymore. And I remember being a kid, like seeing that in the mid 90s, and that would like Scream was such a mind-blowing movie at the time. And that scene, and like Drew Barrymore is like, spoilers here, but Drew Barrymore is like
hopefully
taken
by now
out.
You've seen it.
Yeah,
or don't
like
care.
that was stuff that I don't remember that type of, like years later we, Bryan Cranston's gone out of Godzilla, really, things we've seen that happen more since that time. But at the time, Drew Barrymore, and so to me, he was like a big part, even though he's behind a mask. And so I really was like, I really want to get a say. And he was only $30, and he took a photo with you for free. And like, again, I'm not a big photo person, but if you throw it in for free. So I did it right at the buzzer, and then I was really glad because one, I was glad he got it. He was super nice and everything. But we also learned he literally just flew out for one day, so he was just here for Friday night, and that's it. And for our people on YouTube, sort of kind of the picture we ended up utilizing there, but it was basically Barrymore looking through the window and seeing Ghostface as she's on the phone on the other side there. But he had a fundraiser to go. So I think he lives in Texas. If I understood correctly, he flew out from Texas and he had to get back for some charity, something like children's charity thing that was going on tonight. So it was like a real quick, like he had to be at LAX like really early this morning. So then I was like, wow, again, like I'm glad I didn't put that off because I was thinking like, let's just do it on Saturday, maybe see how it goes Saturday. It's like he wasn't here. Skeet Ulrich took his spot in terms of on the floor today. But I was so glad. He was so awesome, I thought.
He was super, super nice and friendly and talkative, and he took time. I mean, as we said, it was a close, so he could have been, kind of like, okay, this is my last one. I've got to get out. I've got an early flight, and just head out. But no, he like totally took time to sit and chat with us, and
it was like we were the first people that got there.
Yeah, he was totally just expressing his gratitude for all the fans. He's like, you or I thanked him and stuff, and he's like, oh no, thank you, you guys are the ones that make this all worth it. It's all you guys are the fans, it's all about you guys. And he was just going on, and he was just super friendly and seemed super happy to be there, and he did not at all like make us feel like rushed, or he didn't at all like rush us out or anything. It's like if we wanted to sit there for another 15-20 minutes, he seemed like he would have done it. But yeah, it was literally like I think I looked as we were approaching, it was 11:57, so yeah, by the time we got there 11:58, and by the time we were done it was after 11, and he had an early flight and stuff. But he was like yeah, no, it's totally worth it for the charity. So I don't know if what he was collecting yesterday was also going to a charity, or if he was just talking about the one that he was flying back to. But he had something on Saturday, he had to get to LAX and fly back, and then he has another thing tomorrow on Sunday and stuff, and so he's like super busy this weekend. But he was super friendly, and it was like a really awesome experience in that one.
Grimwood Hollow in the chat had said, how influential Scream was in bringing the horror genre back from that, and it's like, actually it kind of clicks with something, because as I'm thinking about that, like, I loved watching horror via VHS. Like, we would go to the video store and get Faces of Death and Halloween and just whatever we can get our hands on and watch it, at home. But I don't really remember going to really like a horror movie till Scream, honestly, now that I think about it. And I think that probably did, like, okay, now I'm gonna go watch it on the big screen. But I guess, at the time for me, Scream came out as like a high school senior, I think, or around there, a little after that maybe. But it was such a big deal, and it was, so it's awesome to see the cast. Nev Campbell was just coming back to sign more, because the line has been like nonstop. I've not seen any of them take breaks all day. Jamie Kennedy, Matthew Lillard, Ulrich, as I said. A big, no Courtney Cox, no David Arquette, but besides that, like, all of your kind of major players from Scream. But it was like 6:05, or no, it was like 6:15, I guess, something like that. And she was like coming back out to sign more autographs, which seems really cool. They just seem to have had, and they've all looked like, we've seen Matthew Lillard several times, and he is very animated, always standing up and engaging people, but they all look like they're really engaging fans, but not like taking way too long to make it go slow, like in a very professional way. But it feels like a lot of people have had a great time with these signings.
Yeah, I had an interesting, it's so silly, but I'll mention it anyways because it's kind of silly. But yeah, it was after 6 o'clock, and I okay, let me go to the restroom before we start recording or anything like that. And so as I just finished washing my hands and I'm walking toward the door, Nev Campbell walks in, and I taken aback, and I'm like, is that Nev Campbell? And she had kind of like this weird, like, kind of grin on her face, like, I think she was like, I'm going to the restroom, or I don't know if she was like concerned that people were going to stop her in there or what. And I didn't, of course, and I didn't say anything because I was like, wait, is that Nev Campbell? And so I passed Nev Campbell in the restroom. So that was my interaction with Nev Campbell this weekend, which years ago I ran into Mariah Carey, I think it was, at the at the restrooms at California Adventure. So apparently restrooms are places you can meet these people and stuff, celebrities and stuff. Of course, in neither case did I say anything, but I'm like, wait, what is that? And it was, and it was like interesting. So that was my interaction with Nev Campbell this weekend, was running into her in the restrooms.
One of the coolest things with the cast that they pulled together here is just, and I've seen so many people doing this, is so many people have big Scream posters that they're getting them all to sign today. And I'm guessing they're having to work with like friends to hold places in lines, because all of these lines have been crazy long. Like, I haven't seen, outside of our signing last night, he never had a crazy line, but all of the people that are here today have all had crazy lines, and so somehow working. But I thought that is pretty cool to leave, come into Monsterpalooza maybe with an empty poster, and to come home with, a lot of the major players, the majority of the major players from the original there, all on this beautiful poster. So it's really a neat experience, and something that's hard to kind of quantify in like ticket price or things like that. I will say also, we've noticed over the years, Monsterpalooza, the signings at Monsterpalooza, the prices always seem a little better what celebrities choose to charge. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if there's anything that's negotiated. I don't know. But I just know, like, it's the antithesis of like Star Wars Celebration, where everything is much more than if you see them somewhere else. Hollywood show is the other one. I always talk about that. The old time Hollywood show, they always have great prices there on autographs. I mean, Stan Lee was doing like $40 autographs there when he was charging like 80 at other places and stuff like that. But Monsterpalooza, and so the most expensive autograph I've seen here was 60, and that was Lillard was charging that, Nev Campbell. Also, Charles Fleischer's here, Roger Rabbit fame, charging 60 as well. Although I saw somebody give him 100 and he didn't give change back, so I don't know what that was about. That was their own private interaction. I don't know if it was a tip or what. But in general, I asked, it was like $60, which that's a tempting one for me. I actually, is Roger Rabbit would be a cool, signature to have. But anyway, that no other autographs as of this time. Now, one more, or maybe two more little acquisitions, but another Planet of the Apes one is then coming back. One of the things that was at that same booth from the same Planet of the Apes fan was a Ben Cooper. It's, I believe, a 74 Dr. Zaius Ben Cooper in the box. Really, tattered, messed up box, but still 74 Planet of the Apes costume. I thought about it all night. It was $50. I thought about it all night. Came back today and then ended up buying that. And again, he seemed kind of sad to be selling it to me in a little bit, but I mean, it even has in it like the little piece of paper that's like how they're protecting it against like silverfish back in the 70s and stuff. The costume itself, he said, was never worn, and it's just a really fun, kooky print. And so I was really excited to get that. I mean, we don't have many Halloween costumes, but Ben Cooper, I mean, if you're a Halloween fan of, back in the day, that's such a big part of, growing up, was going to for me at least, going to Kmart and seeing it felt like it went like a mile high, these stacked Ben Cooper costumes. And you would see the names on the side and search out the costume sizes, and then you wear the mask that would suffocate you, and you'd wear the trash bag type of costume there. And so for our people that follow along on YouTube, you can see it's just the silliest thing. It says Planet of the Apes, and it has one ape particularly that doesn't look anything like anything from the actual movie of this kind of warrior ape with his green pants on, and then the other one's a little bit of a Cornelius look to it. But I was super excited to get that.
They almost looked to me like the monkeys from Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah. And then there's a Zira, which kind of looks like a female gremlin in the middle, with this like really exaggerated lips with lipstick on. So anyway, I was really excited that it was still there and to get it. And again, from somebody who's like a real, he loved his collection. You could tell this all meant a lot to him, and for whatever reason, like he said, he said he had a girlfriend that said they needed to clear up space. So whatever it is funny though in situations like this, like how much one exhibitor can change things, because like that exhibitor, all the stuff, the three things that really were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, they were all bought from one exhibitor that had really good prices on stuff that is very hard to find if you're not going to buy it on like eBay or something like that. So if they weren't here, it'd be a very different weekend, although still a fantastic floor and still love all this stuff. It's just that really kind of heightened things and made some really incredible memories that will definitely persevere beyond the weekend for sure there. A lot of Saturday was floating around the floors. So our friends Ted and Rochelle were here. We went and had a nice lunch with them at the hotel. You found a great spot. The restaurant in there had like no one there, despite like what felt like millions of people everywhere you went elsewhere. That was an open spot there, so that was really nice. We should say, I mean, masks are not required at this event, but like we've chosen to wear masks on the floor and stuff because it's just like so many people on top of each other. So this thing, like the second I walked in, it was like, whoops, putting that on, because it's like I felt like not literally flesh to flesh, but just felt like there's so many people here. It's like, yeah, I think I'll go ahead and make sure to have that on the whole time. And it's been kind of just a choice throughout the show. But as with a lot of shows right now, they're just kind of going by whatever the state or county rules are, so there is no requirement.
Yeah, and several people, I feel like today, were like asking us, is it more crowded or less crowded than Celebration was? And I don't know number-wise, but Celebration, they use such a large footprint, and there was so many empty areas of the floor, and the aisles were really wide, so it felt like it was much easier to navigate, and we weren't like in tight crowds as much. Whereas at this show, it is a smaller footprint, and the aisles aren't as large and stuff, and so it did feel like we were much closer to a lot more people than we have been in a while. And then yesterday, because there weren't as many of the big names, it's odd signing and stuff, And so a lot of people weren't in line for that. Yesterday, the floor actually kind of, for Friday, felt almost busier than Saturday's
It did,
floor
yeah.
felt. But Saturday, there were a lot of people here, but a lot of people were in line. So like you said,
Yeah.
there were just lines like all over the place on the exterior of the building and stuff. So, so I don't know number wise, but it felt more compact this weekend than it was last weekend at Celebration.
Yeah, Celebration is a far larger show by a lot, by thousands and thousands and thousands. But you know, what really matters is how it feels and how much, you know, square footage you're using and stuff. And as you said, the signings have been a real gift today of like a people eater, because there are people waiting, you know. So the Screamcast, for example, they were all these people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were in line waiting for autographs while they were doing photo ops. So there was a couple hours there, which that would not be fun as the person waiting for the signing, but as for us on the floor, it helped kind of clear that out a little bit. So all you know, big draws for people there. Last thing I think I had really for this part is just like booth videos. We have a lot of videos we've been putting up and are going to continue putting up of various booths, and so we have a few more coming. But like Elite Creature Collectibles we just put up, definitely suggest checking out that one. They have some incredible work there. McGee FX, incredible, especially if you're a Horror Nights fan. It's just like must-see stuff there. But even if you're not a Horror Nights fan, just beautiful, you know, creations there. We have a video for that that's going to be on the channel very soon, as well as Midnight Studios. I know we got a request on the channel specifically for that booth, and we definitely plan to get one of those videos up there, and so that will be on as well. So a lot of things. We have a 2022 Monsterpalooza playlist that you can check out there and see all of those videos if you are interested with that. So
Yeah, definitely. And it's been a lot of fun and lots of roaming around and stuff. So, yeah.
yeah.
We'll see.
So I think with that, we will go ahead and wrap up here. Again, hopefully you'll check out some of those videos. Let us know if you like them. And I think this is going to be kind of a formula I'm thinking we're going to use for probably Anime Expo and San Diego. I mean, we'll see, is try to mix in lives where we're able to do a lot of booth videos, a lot of, you know, try to mix things up to have 2 or 3 videos a day where we're able to. So let us know if you like those.
Thanks so much for tuning in.
Yep. Thank you very much. Until next time, we'll see you in line somewhere.